welcome to the Squirrel Tale. Today I'm going to be doing a video on how to make a stand for a cap and ball revolver. First thing I need is to make a rough plan. So I have an old piece of paper, and I'm going to draw roughly what it's going to look like. There's going to be my bottom board. And then I'm going to have a board coming up like in the thumbnail picture. Coming up like that. Gonna be approximate, you know, none quite to scale, but so now we gotta figure out what these dimensions are gonna be. So to do that, a square is very helpful. So I'm gonna take the square. And now, this being both a loading and display stand, when you're loading it, when it's in this position, you're going to want it to be on half cock. So this will be where the main board is. The barrel is square to the gun, to that board. So I need to get the measurement from that hammer to the barrel. So I'm looking at about 2 3/4 of an inch. And because I want it to be in a notch, which you'll see, I want to make that a little bit longer. So I'm going to make my upright piece 3.5 inches. Actually, I'm gonna make it 4 for now. I'll end up trimming it some, but that's not an issue. But I'll put 2 3/4, which is what my height is gonna be. Now here's my board. If I can, I want to avoid that knot. So yeah, obviously you want your board to be plain. I'm going to try at 21 inches. I'll more or less avoid the knot. So if I come at 17 inches. That'll be my base. That'll roughly be my upright piece. And now for the long ways, that can be kind of flexible, but I should have, for when it's on display, plenty of room, you know. Probably, yeah, plenty of room. That should work good. Be actually about perfect for what I want. So now I'm going to go cut the board. One more thing that I should figure out is what I want my width to be for my upright piece. I want it to be thinner so I can do the outer edge. So I'm going to take this board a little thinner, probably take make this board 3.5 inches. Or I'm going to have this side out. Yeah, 3. I'll go 3.5. So, I'm making for my upright, and I'm only going to make that 2 inches. So, I'll just draw another picture here. Let's see. Actually, I'm only going to go 2.25. Two and a quarter and 3.5. That way I have plenty of room for the routed edge. Actually, I'm even going to go a little more extreme. That doesn't need to be big. 2 inches should be plenty wide enough, especially because it's a thinner revolver than the mat. So, now off to the table saw. Okay, so the next thing to do. No, this board is plain, so you do want to use plain boards. And I've already ran the joiner on this, but just to show you, you always want to do that before you cut it on the table saw. But now I'm going to just do a couple cuts. So I already had my lines marked. I should have that blade a little farther down. So now I'm going to cut this out. So there we go. That's going to be our basic construction. So the next thing I want to do on this is, surfaces are still relatively rough. Do at least a rough sanding before I start laying stuff out. So I'm going to sand both pieces. I'm going to use a palm sander with coarse, at least 100 grit. I actually wish I had some 80 grit right now, but I don't, or I'm out of it, so 100 will do alright. while everything's nice and still square before we start putting the stuff on it, it's easier to sand it. So I'm gonna just run the sander a while. So the next thing I gotta do is lay out the notch in this board. Now with my plan I drew up earlier, I determined that the ideal heights of the notch should be 2 3/4. Now I find it's easier to lay out it with a set of calipers. I can set this to what I want and scribe a line. So I went 100 thousandths over 2 3/4 because I'm going to inlet this a little bit into the wood to provide extra support. So now you can easily mark it using a square and a ruler. That's perfectly doable. But I like to use an old pair of these, lightly scribe the line. And now because I need a notch, I need it to be something that's centered in the board. And I need that to be wider than the barrel. So I can roughly lay the barrel there and get, it can be a good bit more. And draw a line like that. So and then I just go to that mark, scribe one side, make sure this is locked up, scribe the other side. It's probably wider than I need it. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. Now I want to put a slight radius in the corners and slight radiuses up top. I can actually use that second line to lay out that one radius. So now I'm ready to cut it. So I'm going to cut it with a scroll saw. If you didn't have a scroll saw, you could do it with a coping saw or even a hand saw carefully. But I have a scroll saw, that'll be the quickest way to cut it. If you only have hand tools, you can easily do all this stuff, with hand saws and stuff. But I'm working full time. I used to do that stuff when I was strictly use hand tools when I was younger, which I still love them. But now I'm working full time. Time is not a thing I have a lot of. So I'm now ready to make this cut. So there, I cut the notch out. We'll need some filing, but I can get to that later. So now I'm gonna come over the vise, do a little bit of layout work. So take the revolver and just see how it looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. You know, if you have a cold, it's going to be slightly different on how it's going to work. I think I like it right on the... I actually do think I would rest it on the loading lever. Now I will have to notch it here so it stays still. Now the other question, how does it do? That actually holds really nice. I don't think I'm going to change anything there, just figure out the ideal spot to put this. And then I will cut my little pocket for this piece.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe for more great content, and check out our Instagram page at @SquirrelTailShow.